I still sharing the screen?
I can see it.
You see the next slide?
Yep. Not like.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, it's weird. When I started recording, the green outline disappeared. So whatever. All right, upgrading to Drupal 9 from Drupal 8. This is this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like previous Drupal upgrades. If you remember upgrading Drupal 6 to 7 or 7 to 8, you know, that usually required a fresh start. You'd start building a new site and then migrate the content. And you know, the same for 7 to 8, but 7 to 8 was even harder because it was almost like a completely new system.
Yep.
But 8 to 9 supposedly should be as easy as moving from, you know, Drupal 8.8 to 8.9. The only difference between 8.9 and 9.0 is deprecated code. So if you had code using old functions or classes or whatever, the things that were marked as deprecated are deleted and things just keep on going. Yeah. So a little note on version support here. Things will be, you know, stopped supported. It seems like sooner than it used to be. I think it was before the policy was the current major version plus the last major version. So Drupal 7 and Drupal 6 were supported until Drupal 8 came out, and then 7 and 8 were supported, and you lost Drupal 6. Now it's kind of, it's a little more murky. And then it's a little off this year because if you look at the dates here, Drupal 7 is supported until November 2022.
Yeah. I just got that newsletter or whatever, and they said that's because of the pandemic. They moved it out.
Yep. So there was an announcement last summer about the change. So Drupal 7 will be supported for longer than Drupal 8. So Drupal 8.8, if you're on that, you should probably be updated or updating since that came out of support when I think Drupal 9.1 came out. And then Drupal 8.9, which is the last in the Drupal 8 series, is going out of support in November this year. So there's kind of a timeline that you should be aware of when starting a upgrade to Drupal 9. And hopefully it should be pretty easy, right?
Sure, they say it is.
So here's a little overview of kind of what I'm going to cover. First thing is requirements, and then of course you need to update everything to the latest Drupal 8 stuff. And then if you have custom code, you'll need to evaluate that and make sure it's not using any of the deprecated functions. Mm-hmm. And then you go ahead and update to Drupal 9. So full disclosure here, I have not successfully done a Drupal 9 upgrade all the way through yet. So I might actually do it today with all of you. So yeah, let's get started here. So requirements here: Apache 247 or Nginx. Probably not going to run into that issue. PHP 7.3 might be an issue if you're on PHP 7.2. But also be aware PHP 7.3 will be going out of support sometime later this year. I forget exactly what the date is. So really you should look at, if you're going to, PHP 7.4. And then this one I've seen all over the place, and it's kind of the thing with, if you try to get Drupal 9 going on Pantheon, the confounding factor here is a version of MySQL or MariaDB. So if you can get that upgraded first, that would ease things quite a bit. There is, I think, some sort of Drupal plugin or module that allows you to use it on MySQL versions like under 5.7.8. But yeah, I haven't used it, or I don't know how good that is. Oh, thanks, Brooke. PHP 7.3 is end of life in December. So yeah, and then if you use Drush, you should be using Drush 10. And that, usually comes with your project, right? It does support SQLite and Postgres as well. But I don't think very many people do that. You might use SQLite when doing tests or, quick whatever things, but. All right, so next is to update everything so that you're on Drupal 8.9. A lot of documentations will say 8.8, but since that's not supported, 8.9 is where you want to be. And then also make sure all of your contrib modules are up to the latest release that they have. A good majority now of contrib modules have Drupal 9 support. So most of your modules, especially the popular ones, are going to be supported already, but there may be a few that are not. And you can see which contrib modules have Drupal 9 support if you go to the module page, and you can see there's a nice little Drupal 9 tag there and tells you, requires Drupal 8.8 or 9. So here and here, you'll get the clue. If it's not Drupal 9 compatible yet, there should be something here that explains, these are the issues, here's a link to the issue in the issue queue that's working on this. Maybe there's a patch you can use, you can evaluate it, or contribute to it if you want, and get help get that module compatible with Drupal 9. Sometimes maybe they'll recommend a different module to use, and that will require some sort of plan for migrating. And then you need to update your custom code. So part of that is, updating your info YAML file that's pretty easy. We'll get to that in just a moment. Refactor your deprecated code. And then there's this nice little module called upgrade status that helps you a lot with all of these requirements to make sure that you're ready to go. And we'll be messing around with that after the presentation part here. So info.yaml. There's a new key, I guess you call it, core version requirement. This is so that your module can tell Drupal that it works both in 8 and 9. So you can run the same module code on Drupal 8 and on Drupal 9. You see I've crossed out the core 8x thing here. And that is still valid. You can still have that in there. But if the idea behind that is that means any version of Drupal 8 will try to install it. So, you know, Drupal 8.0.0 will be able to install it. Chances are that's not going to work because, you know, it probably doesn't have the new, you know, replacement code and stuff for all the deprecated stuff that happened throughout the whole 8x cycle. So,
Question I have, when you write this down and you've installed one of these that says it's both involved, you know, in your current site, that means you don't have to do anything to the new site
correct.
because it is? Okay, that's the way I understood it. Okay.
So Drupal 9 wants this core version requirement and it ignores the core 8x thing.
Okay.
But that's just kind of like probably a good practice to not, you know, have the core 8x. It doesn't matter if it's there or not, like if it's your own module or whatever, and you're not actually going to install it on Drupal 8.0, it's probably not a problem. But if it's like a contrib module and people are using it on old sites, that could come back to bite them. And so here we say it's compatible with 8.8 and above and Drupal 9. So yeah, and if your module is in Composer, you might want to update the dependency part in the Composer JSON so that it matches that it requires Drupal core 8 or 9. All right. The hard part is refactoring all this deprecated code in our custom modules and maybe some contrib modules you might want to help out with. Some ways to help with that is you can set up your development environment to catch deprecated code. So like with PHP Storm, whenever I write a piece of a deprecated code or something, like I see this solution to this thing on Stack Overflow, but it says Drupal set message is like the most common thing. You need to use like the message service to do messages. In the IDE, it'll highlight it out and say, put a little cross through there and say, hey, this is deprecated. It's still here. You can still use it, but it's going to go away soon. So from there, you can see, what the deal is. It usually contains a link to what's called a change record.
Okay.
And you've probably seen these. I'll pull one up after the presentation here, and it will say the change record on Drupal.org is, here's what you used to do. Here's why we're changing it, and this is how you're gonna here's the equivalent way to do this now. So it does a pretty good job of walking you through how to do how to change your code to work the way it used to in the new system. Yeah, and it's probably good if you can get it in your continuous integration pipeline to test for deprecated code and stuff. Yeah. So the best way I've found is to just use this upgrade status module. It's easiest to install with Composer. Hopefully you're using Composer to manage your site. Because upgrade status does include some non-Drupal dependencies. So just type it in Composer require Drupal upgrade status. It'll go out and get all those things, which is awesome. And then you can enable it, go to the report, and it'll tell you all the things that needs to be done and how close you are to Drupal 9 ready. So after this presentation, we'll go through what the upgrade status module does. All right. So it's time to take a look at things. Are there any questions or comments at this point? All right. So here I have a Drupal 8 site. Let's go to reports here. And we're on 8.9, this is good. PHP 7.3, it's good. 5.7.32 is good. But I never remember these numbers. I can't keep them all in my head. I always have to look them up. So yeah, again, the Drupal upgrade status module, you run that command that I showed you earlier. And then you can come into extend and just install the upgrade status module. What that does, if you go to reports, it gives you a new upgrade status report. You click on that and it tells you all the things that you need to do. So it says, you're good on Drupal core, you're good on PHP, your MySQL is good, your Apache is good. We couldn't check Drush, but make sure you check on Drush. Let's see here, it tells you that there's one project that's incompatible, that is known incompatible, that's installed on this site. There's another project that you need to scan. So as I scroll down here, I see different sections. Here's the update section. It says, this is a contrib module that has an update available that is, ready for Drupal 9, but you don't have it installed yet. So you can go ahead and update that module. Let's see if I can do that real quick. Oops. New presentation. All right. So asset injector. Oops. So I had to actually downgrade this module in order to show this example. This is my blog site, and when I brought it down locally and installed upgrade status, it said 100%, you're ready for Drupal 9. So that was really nice. You might get a nice surprise doing that. Yeah, okay. What? All right, well, keep going on here for a moment because I manually replaced the code. Composer's a little confused. Scan. So this is my custom module. I had to make a custom module to show this off. And so if I go, let's go back to the home page here. I'll show you what this does. This custom module makes a page and sets a Drupal message. Let's see here. There's Zoom stuff in the way. If I look at the code, this is not my IDE. This is PHP Storm, so it's not configured to highlight the deprecated stuff. But this thing that needs updated, right? Drupal set message has been deprecated. And I just know that because I made this module do that. Upgrade status. So we go down here and see Babas Com. We select it, and we can select whichever modules, all the modules, and we'll scan it. And so what this does is it analyzes the code and looks for all the stuff. And so now we see, oh, there's one fix, Babas Com, that has 2 problems. We click on that. It says here, call the deprecated function Drupal set message. And then it says use Drupal core messenger interface, add message instead. And then the other issue is that the module doesn't have the new core requirements. So the info file says it's only for Drupal 8. Great. So let's see, how do we do this? Yeah, Zoom is in my way. So we can say, this isn't my IDE, Kratos. All right, here we go. Can you see this? Okay, so here's the Drupal set message. It says, oh, it's crossed out. It says Drupal set message, deprecated, use this instead. And then there's a C also down here, and then here's a link. We'll click on that link, and it takes us to the change record that explains the difference. So you can see all the issues that were about it. It says you should now inject it with, dependency injection, and that's a whole another can of worms. That would be a whole nother presentation. And it shows you an example of how you should do it. So you do this, you have the services thing, you inject it. And so before you'd say Drupal set message, but now after the example, you're injecting the service and you're using this messenger add message. And then there's a way to do it in procedural code. So if it's in like a .module file or a .install file, there's a procedural way to do it. So I'm just going to cheat and use this one for now. I'll copy that. I'll say, how was that again? Add status. And then in T, we should probably use this. All right, we'll save that. Go back here. Go back to our site. I'll scan this again. And so it's going to be a lot of little. All right, now there's one thing that's left here. So we fixed that Drupal message thing. We looked through the change log or the change record. We figured out how to fix it. And we see, oh yeah, we got to have this core version requirement thing. So that's easy to do. Here's the info.yaml file. And let's say, replace this line with the core version requirement, 8.8 and 9. We'll save that. And we can check again. You know, every time you fix a little problem, you know, commit, test, all that stuff. We're breaking this down into smaller and smaller issues. And now we see Hobbit's comment is good. It's in the green. So our custom module is good. So asset injector, what are we going to do with that? Yeah. Probably want to think about upgrading to Composer 2.0 as well. Supposedly that's not as big a deal. All right. CD modules. Not upgrade asset injector. There we go. Now we should be updated. I kind of threw this presentation together pretty quickly if you didn't notice. All right, let's give that one a scan again. Yay, 100%. That's very nice to see. So yeah, it's this upgrade status module mostly walks you through how to do stuff. If you don't have any custom code on your site, that's probably fairly easy. There's also another tool called Drupal Rector. I have not used that before, but the thing with that is supposedly it will fix the deprecations for you if it can. So like this Drupal set message thing, it would go through and, you know, throw in all the dependency injection stuff for you and make it work. Of course, you have to check its work to make sure it didn't do something unexpected, but yeah. Any questions about upgrade status or finding out how to fix deprecated code?
Not today, but if I do this, I'll probably will.
Yeah. Takes a lot of Google searching sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, here's a list of all the change records for Drupal. So Drupal.org, list changes, Drupal. And you can, you know, if you're looking for, hey, I know this is deprecated, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for, you can find it. And it looks like they deprecate stuff all the time. All databases must support JSON functionality in Drupal 10. So here's the change record for Drupal set message, which we found. so should we try to upgrade to Drupal 9? All right. I always have to look up the commands to do updates to Drupal. All right, it says here, let's get you a nice terminal to look at. Changing all these permissions. Copy and paste commands. Oops. All right, so we're temporarily moving the permissions on these files because a lot of times those are pretty restrictive and don't let things write to them, and upgrading probably will write to these files. So we want to make it so that the upgrade process will write to those files. And that's been an issue we've had for a long time. If you get the permissions just right, it'll work really well. All right, so next we'll pull in Drupal 9 of core recommended in the dev dependency packages. And so the no update is important here, I guess, to avoid chicken and egg problems because they require each other, I guess. So let's see here, composer required, Drupal core recommended, Drupal 9 or higher, Drupal core, composer scaffold, Drupal 9 or higher. The core composer scaffold project is all the like index.php, htaccess file, those things that kind of live in the document root but are not in the core directory. And then core project message, you don't really need that if you don't want it. And that's just the part that says whenever you run composer installer or whatever, it says, hey, welcome to Drupal, here's some resources and stuff. Update with dependencies, and then the no update thing as they recommended here. So I think that command makes sense. Let's see what happens. It might take a while. Oh, wow, okay. Do I have core dev installed? Oh, let's see. Composer. Was it list? No.
Try show.
Nah, thank you. I never show. No, we don't have core dev installed on this site, so I think we're okay. But if you did, you'll want to upgrade that, I guess. All right, actually perform the update. If any of these packages doesn't have at least explicitly declared as D9 compatible. So let's see what happens when we do composer update. The thing about composer update naked like this is that it will update everything. So even if you have, modules that are back a version or something, or maybe if you have like a patch applied or something, you might be careful about running this. But for demonstration purposes, we'll give it a go and see what happens. If you wanted to be careful about it, you would say composer update, Drupal core recommended, Drupal core composer scaffold, Drupal core project message. So we'll see. And of course, before you do this, backups and all that fun stuff. And you're doing it locally first. So any questions, comments? Oh no. So this is dependency fun. All right, so we'll see what this does, because that's dependency issues on itself, I guess. I don't know. So here it's going to do composer require Drupal core 9 as 890. I wonder if that should be 9.1. 914. Well, we'll see what the instructions say. Oh, make sure you replace whatever versions you're using. Good. All right. 914, right? Is that what we're doing? Nine 1.4, and then what version of Drupal? 8.9.13. Crossing our fingers here. This looks promising. It's doing stuff. It resolved dependencies.
I have to leave for a moment. I'll be back in about 5.
Okay, we'll see you. Okay, there it is. Run any pending database updates. Upgrade status module is not compatible. So let's go back and disable it, huh? I guess. Uninstall. And we probably should have disabled it. Upgrade status, uninstall. And my internet's a little wonky right now. So if you saw that error, that was because my internet decided to cut out for half a second. All right, now that it's uninstalled, let's try that update PHP thing. Oops. That seemed painless. Are we there? And complete, restore the permissions that we changed. Yeah, in your project, if you have that in your Composer JSON, you'll need to update that as well. But for now, I think we go here to reports, status report, Drupal 914. And then, yeah, files are not protected because we changed that. And I think we're okay. Go through, check out the site. There's the message still. The log still loads up. We are upgraded. Yay, I did it. So, has anyone else done it? I'd be interested to hear anybody's experience as well.
Amy June here.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks. This is great. I did attempt to move over a site, but I needed the markup module and it's just not ready yet. So that's like I'm a very big advocate of not needing contributed modules, but that one is absolutely essential for my needs. So I didn't get very far.
Minimally maintained.
Yep.
And it was only a beta in 8x, so that's June 20, it says requires this. Interesting. Anybody? Is that an actual person?
Yeah. Great name.
Oops. And Drupal Rector went through and made a patch. So I don't know. I mean, you could add a patch if there's a working patch, you can do that, or fire up a plain old Drupal 9 site or a Drupal 8 site and look for the deprecated code and try and contribute back, and maybe a patch that you've done for the contributed code will help somebody else.
Right.
Or find a different solution. Is there another way to do markup?
I don't know. I rely on this module, you know what I mean? And I'm a not coder necessarily. So it's one of those like just easy wins for me. And then also a lazy website maintainer. So if my Drupal 8 site works for a little while longer, then I'll probably stick with that until I come up with a new solution.
Yeah.
Mostly laziness.
Yep. I don't know if there's an LTS support for Drupal 8.
Right. I think Drop Wizard Is
Mhm.
that
My
they
draft.
committed to 2023, I think, for Drupal 7, and I'm not sure what they committed to for Drupal 8, but they're one of the vendors. And I know last time I looked at approved vendors, the list wasn't very long, but anecdotally, I know that there are agencies out there, so I don't know if the list is just not up to date.
Yeah, there's probably, so there's like the official list that's like vetted by the Drupal security team.
Mhm.
And My Drop Wizard is one of those vendors. And then I'm sure there's others out there that will just, you know, do it, you
Right.
know, not really going after the, you know, the certified LTS support thing. I think part of being in that is that somebody from that org needs to be on the security team. So yeah, there's quite a bit of trust that has to go into being there. Yeah, I don't know. So this is just like a text filter or something for markup?
Oh, I'm sorry, Markdown. I was looking at when you were scrolling, I'm like, those weren't the issues I looked at last time. So Markdown, and I think it's Mark Conroy is the maintainer of that.
Is this the right one?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, I got to an RC1, so that's, yeah. So definitely look in the issue queue, 999 support 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So this might have been updated since the last time I looked into it.
Looks like there's a bunch of patches suggested, so it might be worth investigating again. I mean, now that Drupal 9 is mostly matured, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. It's been a year or more, has it? I forget when it came out. It's been long enough that a lot of people support it. And yeah, worth looking at again. And then, you know, if you know how to do composer patches, which are pretty easy to do, I think you
Right.
might be able to get away with adding a patch and continuing on while you look for a different solution.
We haven't been able to get off of 7 quite yet because we are heavily dependent on the feeds module.
Ooh.
Yeah, this sucks because I've looked several times and it makes a tiny bit of progress, but there's a lot of people are using it and it still has a long ways to go, it seems like.
I think we're going to be actively sprinting on the feeds module at mid-camp in March.
Oh, okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, that's on the list of maybes, and I'll just talk to Irina and get that because you're the third person this week that has mentioned the feeds module. So it seems timely.
I don't know how others use it, but the way we are architected, we have multiple Drupal sites based on the type of user effectively. And then we have a master site that we put our content into, and then it syndicates from that central spot into each of the other different sites. So people only have to go to one place to change, and then it syndicates it down. So for us to not have that means we have to figure out another way to do it, which is an option, but other things are keeping us busy. Or we have to create more busy work for people, and people don't like that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what people were doing with feeds was similar in that either it was used to push out stuff like that and people have gone towards REST or something like that, you know, service-based thing, or they were using it for migration, content migration, which the migrate module mostly takes care of. So a lot of people, it kind of feels like completely re-architecting the way it works. And I don't know if that's something to look into, or because yeah, feeds is simple. It's a lot easier to set up than to, okay, I've got to develop an API for this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we never mind making modules that are kind of generic or modules that are super specific to our business needs. But feeds is one, like, so much effort had gone into that. We had done some contributing ourselves. It was just frustrating that it didn't get pulled along with some of the other modules. And here we are, 8's done, and feeds still didn't quite get done.
Do you know that there's a Drupal Slack space where they work on that module every Thursday?
I did not know that, but I think I'm in that Slack space.
I don't know if I know what the Slack channel is off the top of my head. It might just be called feeds. Yep, it's feeds, and it looks like they still get together on Thursdays and sprint.
I do have that in my Slack.
But yeah, MidCamp will be, I think, the week of March 24th, with the Contrib Day being that Saturday. And we're gonna, well, I'm not gonna actively work on it, but Irina Zachs from Stanford, she kind of leads that initiative. And so we're talking about getting that as one of kind of the table spaces there. If anything, you could pop in to the Slack space or to the Contrib Day and just give a scenario of your use case. You know, that's always helpful for them too. I haven't really built out that page yet, John.
It's got the important information.
Right.
And
I
so is
brought
that
up the MidCamp page too. So it looks like that's going to be virtual. Yep.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Probably in like Zoom rooms and stuff for contribution day. That makes the most sense.
Yeah, I know with Drupal 8 going away and 7 pretty much long since gone, there's a lot more pressure coming to me from audit type people about what we're going to do about this. So it's becoming a priority again. Thank you, Amy. June.
Oh, you're welcome.
any other things? Maybe general Drupal related? We got a couple minutes left here till it's 1 o'clock or top of the hour here. I know DrupalCon is accepting presentations, sessions. Submit by February 14. So wow, that's coming up real quick here.
Yeah, it just seems like we just had DrupalCon.
Oh, the content proposals are due already. Like, it feels like that just opened. So yeah. I think I heard somewhere that they're expecting 30-minute sessions instead of full hour. So maybe you don't have to work as hard to fill up that space, but also it's kind of difficult to cover something very in depth.
You can always do a part 1 and a part 2, maybe.
Yeah. There was some discussion about that in DrupalCon channel here. Yeah. So there's been discussion about that, like, oh, what's going on with that? So part 1 and part 2. Yeah, DrupalCon Slack is really good, especially if you have a question, you're thinking about doing a presentation at DrupalCon. Certainly hit up the DrupalCon channel there to ask questions and at least get something put in if you're interested, so we don't miss the deadline. So yeah, the 14th is Sunday. Valentine's Day. It's coming up so fast. All right. Anything else? It's 1 o'clock. Don't want to hold you all up the rest of your day.
Will you be publishing where this is going to, where the recording's going to be?
Yeah, I'll get this up on YouTube or something
Okay.
later today or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's okay. I just want to know where. Okay.
Yep, and we'll probably see the link come in the groups.drupal.org page.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, it was a learning experience for me too. It was the first time I got to do it with an audience. All right, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Nice job.
Thanks, John.